What's up, guys? Welcome back to 3BS, 3 Bro Sports. Today we're just moving along with our NFL draft analysis for every team. We're on to the Las Vegas Raiders now, not the Oakland Raiders anymore. Um, in the first round, they selected Henry Ruggs III, a wide receiver, and Damon Arnett, a cornerback. In the third round, they took Lynn Bowden Jr., wide receiver, and Brian Edwards, a wide receiver, and Tanner Muse, a safety. And in the fourth round, they took John Simpson, a guard, and Amik Robertson, a cornerback. How do you guys feel about their draft?
This is one of the worst drafts that I have. It's not a terrible draft, but it's not definitely early on in the draft. I didn't like it too much at all. With their first pick, we all could assume coming into the draft that they were going to take a receiver, and almost everybody had them either taking CeeDee Lamb. Most people have them taking CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, and they ended up taking Henry Ruggs. Just like I said in previous videos, I don't have a problem with teams going out and getting their guy, but I feel like it was a definite reach, and I don't think he's the best receiver. I don't think it's really that close, actually. I definitely think the other two are way more polished, and Henry Ruggs has the most bust potential for sure. So I wouldn't have went with him, but I still think they addressed the position that they wanted, so it's still a pretty decent pick. With their second pick, I also don't have a problem with the position that they drafted, but it was another huge reach here. This player was ranked like sixth or seventh best cornerback in the class coming into the draft. I don't think that it was a good pick where they drafted him. I think, like I said, with these two people, they could obviously be really good players, but where they drafted Damon Arnett, I don't think that it was a good value, and I also don't think that he was the best player there. So I that's not one of my better players. The next pick, if you're going to go receiver, for me, this guy is just a gadget player. Usually you see gadget players go to teams that are kind of filled out with the rosters, like Chiefs or the Niners, teams that it's a luxury to get a player like that. And they're not in no situation to be drafting a player like that, in my opinion. He's not really I would rather just went out and got a good receiver. It's a third round. You could have got somebody better than that. So I don't really like that. Their other third round pick, I mean, they did go and get another receiver then, so I guess it's not a huge deal. They got Brian Edwards. I like him a lot, actually. He's a pretty good receiver. So I like that pick. And then their next two picks was a linebacker and a guard. I feel like they do have holes pretty much on the defensive side and on the line, so I like that. And their last pick, I really like that too. Amik Robertson, he was one of the top corner slot. He was probably the best slot corner in the whole draft, so I like that. He was one of our me and Kate sleepers. So I feel like in the back end of their draft, they kind of made up for it a little bit. But with their first couple picks, value-wise, it wasn't very good. So I give it a C+.
Yep, I agree with everything that you pretty much said. I didn't really know about their 12th round pick, Henry Ruggs. Don't get me wrong, not a bad player, but I just don't think he was the best available wide receiver on the board. I mean, most mock drafts that I looked at personally, they had Henry Ruggs falling to the Broncos because they were kind of taking, best available at that spot at the wide receiver position. And being an Eagles fan, I even saw him falling to the Eagles a few times down at 21. So for them to take him at 12 over Lamb and Jeudy, I felt like that was a pretty big reach. And then pick number 19 in the first round, they took Damon Arnett. I think he's a really good corner, don't get me wrong, but I still feel like at 19, there was still a lot of other really talented players on the board that they could have taken over him and maybe even had a shot at getting him if they were to trade up to the second round or something like that. Third round, they took gadget player Lynn Bowden. Like you said, Devin, I don't think they're any position to be taking a gadget player like that. I think it was kind of a waste of a pick to pick a gadget player. I think they should have just chose, one or the other if you're going to take running back for depth or wide receiver for depth or either or. Then after that, they took Brian Edwards, another wide receiver. I think that was a good pick, adding to their wide receiver room a little bit more, adding some depth there. Third round pick, they took a linebacker, Tanner Muse from Clemson. I think defense is one of their biggest holes right now. Fourth round, they took John Simpson, a guard. Never bad to add depth to the O-line. And fourth round, Amik Robertson. I really like this guy. Personally, I wouldn't have even been upset if the Eagles took him with their third round pick. So I think this was a guy who it was an absolute steal for them in the fourth round. So overall, I'm going to have to give them the C because I think they made a lot of, odd picks there. Not really the smartest choices in my eyes, but I mean, they still did get some talented players, so I'll give them a C.
Yeah, actually, you guys don't really like their draft too much, but I'm not like a huge in love with it. But I think they did decent. Their first pick, they took Henry Ruggs. They need that dynamic playmaker at the wide receiver spot to pair alongside Tyrell Williams and Darren Waller. He's a side end. But I think that he has that big play potentially now. So there were guys on the board that I had higher in Judy and Lamb, but clearly that's who the Raiders like the most. So that's they got their guy. And then their second first round pick, Damon Arnett. Kind of the same situation there. There were a lot of players I had above them, but that was obviously who they really liked the most. So they got their guy, and I'm not going to really fault them for that. And then they went back to back wide receiver in the third round. It's a position of need, so I don't really mind it, even though I'm not the biggest fan of drafting back to back in the draft. And then they also got safety / linebacker hybrid player in Tanner Muse in the third round. I like that pick a lot. And then the fourth round, they got a guard. Never a bad idea to beef up the line a little bit and get some depth. And then they also got one of my biggest sleeper players. Me and Devin were really high on him, Amik Robertson. He's one of the best slot corners in the draft, if not the best. So I really like that pick too. And I'm going to have to give the Raiders a B- grade. And that's all we got for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned. Be ready for our next videos. If you didn't check out our giveaway video, go check that out now. And we'll see you later.